levels okay?
Oh yeah, you're
Yeah,
great. Yeah,
great.
come on. How about me? Good.
Yeah, you sound good. Yeah.
All right, let's get it going. Joining me today is one of the most premiered content creators, entrepreneurs. He owns a pedal company, a guitar company, Mr. Do It All, teaches you crazy ass riffs from every doom sludge metal band that's come about in recent years. Mr. Steve Reis from Does It Doom. Thanks for joining me, man.
Mo, thank you for the intro, man. I really appreciate that. I that's really nice. Thanks, man.
Yeah, definitely, man. I mean, it's well deserving. I'm just, doing the math here. You've been doing it on YouTube at least since it's gonna be 10 years in March. That's fucking crazy.
Yeah, I actually was just I think talking to my wife about that. I started the YouTube channel. I think I started it in 2015, but I didn't do anything with it much. Like there's
Hmm.
some weird stuff on there. I did play in some blues stuff and whatnot that I was kind of into at the time, but I really did get it up and rolling. I think in 2016, like just after my youngest or my oldest son was born, so my first child, which is crazy in hindsight. You staying up till 3 in the morning making YouTube videos once a week for a couple of years. I made videos almost every single week, shot and edited, all by myself at the time. Which now I have help with editing and whatnot. But doing all of that during that phase of my life, looking back on it, is pretty was pretty crazy, but I'm thankful I did it for sure. And yeah, it's kind of led to what had happened, I guess, progressed over the next coming 10 years. So it's crazy to think it's been 10 years, though. It doesn't seem that long.
Yeah, it really doesn't because I remember like picking up on your channel like roughly around the same time I picked up on Ola England, and because I was actually in the market for my first guitar back in 2016. I'm kind of a late bloomer when it comes to playing guitar. I think I didn't buy my first one until maybe 3 years later in 2019, and y'all two guys were basically my gateway into learning like the riffs I wanted to learn. I had to start simple, right? And everyone told me if you want to learn some metal guitar, start with something slow, something a bit more digestible, like Sabbath and things of that
Sure.
nature. So, and so I credit that to you in England for just uh, for me amassing a bunch of guitars that I probably don't need, but I got them anyway.
Yeah, don't we all? Don't we all? That's great, man. Yeah, Ola's the goat. I got to meet him at NAM a
I
couple
saw
weeks
that.
ago, which
I
was
saw
really
that.
cool, man. He's the greatest. He's just from where he started, kind of similar, started just making content to see where he is now. Being the level of success that he's had is pretty incredible and admirable, and he's just a great dude. So pretty
Yeah,
cool.
that's that runs consistent. Everything that I've people that have told me about him is like he's just a really good dude, and he likes to help others out and and showcase other gear that's out there. So credit to him.
Yeah, man. I had to thank him for he demoed one of our doom saws. I had reached out to see if he wanted to do it like a long while back, and he, to my surprise, was just like, "Yeah, send it over." And then he did a demo, and then I got to do a demo of one of his Solar guitars, the Kirk Winstein signature, which was pretty cool.
Yeah,
So
I'm fortunate enough to know some of the guys in Soil and Green, and they rehearsed in the same rehearsal space as Crowbar because Tommy Buckley's got his drum set up there.
yeah, sure.
And man, like one day, like Kirk left it out. Like I guess he was like setting it up, and I was like, "Holy shit!"
There it is.
There it
Yeah, it's a
is.
really cool guitar. They did a beautiful job on that. And obviously, he's got a few now with
Mhm.
Solar, but yeah, I really had a good time getting to know, getting to work with the guys at Solar and do a demo for him and just play it some on the channel was really fun.
So let's start from the beginning, man. Let's tell me about yourself. How'd you grow up? And what propelled you to get into music, and and further down the line, we'll get to that point where you got into specifically, your bread and butter, which is doom and sludge.
Yeah, I grew up in Canada, actually, Windsor, Ontario, Canada. Tecumseh, Ontario, Canada, to be specific. Actually, where Glenn Fricker is from, to talk about another
Oh, no
kind of
shit.
YouTuber, which I met him for the first time. But he was from the town I grew up in, at least, and lived just 5 miles from me. But in that scene, I don't know. I got to there was a lot of people were into Sam Hain and Danzig and Misfits, and for whatever that entailed. I guess to go a little back before that, in grade school, I was into Nirvana. Got into Nirvana. That's what made me want to start playing guitar. Got my first guitar, took some lessons. Didn't really enjoy the lessons. I felt they were trying to make me like sight read and read music, and it just wasn't really what I was into, and ended up quitting. But then a few years later, started getting really into the Misfits and Danzig and stuff like that with some friends, and we had decided that I guess we could try and form a band. Like I had the rudimentary skills of playing guitar. I had played for 2 years prior, so I could kind of play, but not much. Not great by any means, obviously, but enough that I could play a song or write a song or whatever, learn a simple punk song. And so we formed a little band, and it was you know, from that, somehow along the way, I've told this story before, but one of my buddies in the band who was played drums was really into punk and had I think it was like a NoFX cover of Iron Man or something, of Sabbath's Iron Man, and I remember hearing that, and then he got the NIB, if you remember that, like compilation,
Yeah.
Nativity in Black, I guess it was
Yes.
called, in the late '90s probably, that had Pantera on it,
White
and
Zombie did.
White Zombie,
Yeah,
Sepultura, White Zombie. Did they do Children of the Grave?
they
Maybe.
did. They did.
And Sepultura doing Symptom of the Universe, and Typo Negative doing Black Sabbath. And so that was a bit of a transition, because up to that point I had more so been into the punk, and kind of started to like Danzig. And I'd heard people often would have said that Danzig had a Sabbathy vibe, or I heard that from time to time, not really knowing what it meant.
Right.
And through that Nativity in Black album, which I think a lot of people probably were introduced to Black Sabbath of our era, our generation, introduced to
Mhm.
Black Sabbath through that album. um, Discovered Sabbath, and that's really what changed it all for me. They quickly kind of became my favorite band, and I started learning Sabbath songs. It's funny, like all these years later, like still learning Sabbath songs. It's like, the memes of like, when you're young and old and just like heavier or whatever, but like learning Sabbath when I was like 15 and 16, I'm still learning Sabbath, and I'm 43 years old. It's like it's an endless tome of musical riffology or something. But yeah, I kind of got into that, the Black Sabbath thing. And then I just remember in 2002, I think the second Down record came out. And one of my good friends was really into Pantera at the time. I wasn't huge into Pantera again, but I remember the second Down record coming out. I'm not sure if it was 2000 or 2002,
I think it was
but
2002.
yeah, I think so. And that's all the interviews, all the coverage that album got. For whatever reason, my buddies were, my one buddy really liked it. I was like, oh, I'll give it a listen, and I really loved it. And so then just started diving in there, and got the first record, and reading all the interviews with. I remember with Kirk and Pepper and Phil and Jimmy at the time, talking about Saint Vitus and Witchfinder General and Pentagram. Just turned me on, the Obsessed, turned me on to like just these early classic 80s doom bands. And obviously through the Down record as well, I got turned on to I Hate God and Crowbar and COC and all the other bands associated with that band, Superjoint Ritual. um and that's where it spiraled out for me. I started to love Saint Vitus and listening to Pentagram, and Pentagram becomes one of my favorite bands, and then just down the rabbit hole it went from there. Just doom metal becoming my favorite genre of metal. I don't really listen to much other metal besides what you see featured on the channel, or if you see a lot of lessons, chances are I listen to it a lot.
Yeah.
And people ask me what other types of metal do I listen to, and I don't listen to much other metal besides the core of the doom sludge. uh I even stoner rock isn't really my thing so much. It's a lot. It's too fast and almost happy. I prefer just more dark themed, slower, more dissonant stuff. So that's kind of what took me into discovering and falling in love with doom metal, and it's remained the type of or genre of choice for me for many years. But that's not to say I don't listen to other things. But typically, if I listen to other things, it's more like I like Chicago blues, Delta blues. I do like a lot of classic rock. And so that's where my interests lie outside of doom. Probably it's not like I'm not a big black metal guy or a death metal guy, and I don't hate the stuff, but it's just not really
Not for
my
you.
not for me as much.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and then all throughout that, I guess I was playing guitar and not playing guitar. Like I quit guitar for even after that, the high school band and stuff. I quit for a long time and kind of went off and picked it back up in my early 20s. And from there, it was just, I was like, oh, I'm going to relearn again in my 20s. I'm just going to learn all these Black Sabbath songs again that I had tried to learn when I was in my teens. And I was a little better at them that time, but still not great. And, then just progressed over time and started deciding, I guess in 2016 that I wanted to start a YouTube channel. I was really into gear. I've always been into gear, but I had started, as you kind of alluded to, like started collecting more guitars and more amps and gathering a lot of gear. And I was just like, man, I'd really just like to try to do something. And I had learned a lot of blues. I for whatever reason learned how to try to learn how to play Chicago blues, like play, BB King style blues or Freddie King, that sort of stuff.
I love Freddie
And
King.
yeah, he's amazing. I mean, especially live. His live performances from the 70s are just unbelievable. And I I I had taken some online courses. Like there's Learning Guitar Now. Dude's amazing. John Tuggle teaches awesome blues guitar and slide guitar, and Anthony Stauffer's his name. He runs a site called Texas Blues Alley now. It's really Stevie Ray Vaughan focused, but he taught a lot of Albert King stuff and Freddie King stuff. And I had watched a lot of their videos and thought, man, like they had nice production, nice production. Everything was well taught. They talked a bit of theory, but not too much. And I got a lot out of it. I learned a lot watching those guys and taking their online courses, and just thought, man, wouldn't it be cool if I took kind of this template of what they're doing, but just applied it to doom metal, which I thought was a bit of a unique kind of. I could tell the genre was getting more popular. There were Facebook groups that were popping up about it now. It didn't seem as small as it used to be. And so I could see the genre itself gaining popularity and momentum, and so I decided, man, I'm going to try to teach some High on Fire and Sleep songs. I think out of the gate, trying to teach some sleep songs. I think I did like The Clarity and Leagues Beneath, like newer sleep, because I thought, well, all this old stuff people already know how to play it, so I'm going to just start with the new stuff. And I wasn't sure how people would react. Like I'm not a great guitar player. I'm kind of just a very experienced intermediate guitar player is kind of how I would describe myself. I'm like an intermediate guitar player,
Yeah, I think you give yourself
with like
not enough credit.
25 years of experience. You know what I mean? Like I'm truthfully, I'm just not that great. Especially for an online instructor. But fortunately, this form of music doesn't require vast technical ability and a lot to play a lot of the songs, at least if you leave the leads out. And so, yeah, I just started doing that. I didn't know how people would react. I thought people might tell me to fuck off, but people ended up loving it. And I got tons of encouragement. I mean, I still talk to some of these guys who were there from the very beginning, just being like, keep going, this is amazing.
Yeah.
Because there was nothing like it. There was some playthroughs online, people playing along to songs, but there was no real in-depth instruction for all of these songs that I loved, and I think a lot of other people loved, by all these bands that had gotten bigger. Like immediately people were asking me to do Electric Wizard songs and do Wind Hand songs and Pentagram songs, and I don't know, Crowbar and Down and whatever. I mean, to the point where I just set up a request sheet and just started to collect request after request, and just dove deep into teaching all of this stuff. And it's been really fun. I mean, obviously I don't do as much of the long form lessons as I used to, somewhat due to time constraints, otherwise due to just how the algorithms and platforms have changed. It's like a lot, even yourself, like how much long form YouTube do you watch these days compared to what you used to watch like 7 years ago? I
Yeah,
don't
not
know.
much.
Not much, right? Me neither. So there's less of a drive for me to spend hours and hours creating long form YouTube content, because people don't watch it very much anymore.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so I lean more into short form stuff, short form playthroughs and tabs, and we still do a lot of tabs. We have a Patreon. I'm still very active there, posting new tabs every month. And I'll still do playthroughs of the tabs. But as far as breaking down songs, I haven't done that in a long time, and people still request it. But again, it's like the company has evolved, right? I started a pedal company. I'm an engineer by trade, partnered with one of my best friends who's also an engineer, and we brought on other engineers like the great Nick Williams of Dunwich Amps, is our main lead circuit designer. And so we built out an entire pedal line, and then Woodbine Guitars in Canada, custom shop guitar company, reached out to me to start Woodwright, which is an import series of their designs. And yeah, so kind of just a lot more going on these days, probably with the company and everything, but still the content is a big part of what I do, and I try to still put out as much content as I can. Try and just provide value, and still lean into a lot of that stuff that I love, because I still love sitting down and learning songs, and I guess putting them out there so other people can learn them without putting in the same amount of effort that I have to put in to learn them. Kind of break it down, make it easier for people. But that's it in a nutshell. Sorry, I just talked for a long time.
No,
But
no, man. Hey,
that's
it's all good. You covered a lot in that bit you said, and I was really curious because I had no idea what you did as far as a day job, and it makes sense. You're an engineer, so it's like the pedals makes all the sense of like why you would go into that realm.
yeah. And we have a great group of guys working on it, right? The pedal company is not just me. We've got it's at its core, like I said, me and my best friend own it, we worked as engineers together before doing any of that. I've known him for about 20 years, and the pedal company is probably 4 or 5 years old now. Maybe 6 years old. Shit, time flies. I don't know, but we've got a great, like I said, Nick does the circuit design, who's super experienced he's got a PhD in electrical engineering. He's been doing analog circuit design for probably 15, 20 years himself. And then we've got Scott here, who does all of our in-house PCB assembly. So we've got pick and place rigs, and all of that's done in-house. We bring in all the components. We select everything. We don't get it made over. A lot of companies will just get it made in China, but we make it all here. And so we can control all the components that are going into the pedals, control all the QC, make sure they all sound the same, the way we want them to. And then Scott Hughes at Obscura Manufacturing in Lenore, North Carolina, does all of our enclosure work, so print, powder, and machining, which is really handy, because he's only 45-minute drive away from our shop. And so that logistically is really nice, and makes things easier for us. So kind of do it all in house. We've got other guys handling. Stu, another engineer we worked with in the field, does a lot of our pedal assembly. We've got an amazing team of guys, for sure, and our wives contribute as well to a lot of soldering and packing and all sorts of stuff. So it's still a small operation run by a small group of guys out of a bunch of garages. Like, we don't have a big shop somewhere or anything. Sometimes people are shocked to hear that, but most of our guys have day jobs, and yeah.
While we're on the subject of the pedals, though, talk about the pedal collaborations and design process.
Sure.
Like what is your the criteria for like the artists that you're going to collaborate with?
I mean, usually it's just artists that I love, and at this point, I feel okay reaching out to them and asking if they want to do a collaboration. And I guess up to this point on pedals, we've collaborated with Jimmy Bauer of I Hate God, and Down and Superjoint Ritual, and Mr. Crew of Clearlight. We did the Bauer Power Overdrive, which was really cool. I mean, Jimmy has been one of my guitar idols since I was very young. It's like I realized I was never going to be able to play like Jeff Hanneman or whatever, Randy Rhoads or Tony Iommi for that. But I felt like when I heard I Hate God and how awesome the riffs were groove oriented, there was no solos. It was really, really fun stuff to play, and I could play it. I remember that. Like, my first real rig when I got some money was a Sonex and an SD1 and a Randall RG80 and a Mesa 412 rectifier cab, right? Like the classic Jimmy Bauer rig. So I've been a fan of his forever. So that was easy. We met through a mutual friend. Close friend of Jimmy's became a close friend of mine, and he introduced the two of us, and then him and I became close friends, and it made a pretty seamless, easy transition to say, let's do a pedal. And then, now let's do a guitar. So we've done a guitar and a pedal with Jimmy. Same thing with Matt. Obviously huge fan of Matt. The entire channel was started. Like I said, the first few lessons were all sleep lessons. It was really in my head. I thought, well, sleep is huge and nobody's done any lessons on any other songs. Let me try that. And then with Matt, it went the other way. We did a guitar first and then the pedal, but we reached out to Matt. We had sent him one of our Warlord standards, and he liked it. And then a few months later, we just kind of reached out and asked if he wanted to do a signature, and he said sure. So from there, again, kind of got to be
Is
friends
that
with
the
Matt.
nine string? The
No,
nine
now
string?
we've done a nine. We've done sixes and nines with Matt. It's kind of out of the gate. I think we would have loved to do a nine string, but there was a lot that went into that with just subtle things. Like we had to create our own tailpiece because there's no nine string tailpiece that exists off the shelf. You can't buy one, so we
Right.
had to design that and have it built. Plus the nuts have to be cut for nine strings, and even the bridge saddles. Like a lot of things that seem really simple when you're dealing with overseas manufacturing can be kind of complicated and just take some time and prototyping. So we thought it was best to just launch with a six together because honestly, he only played that nine for probably 2007 to maybe 2011. So 4 years it was exclusively his instrument that he played a nine string live, which is crazy looking back after playing a nine now a lot, right? Because we have them. It's like I can't believe he toured the world with that nine string and played it every night because it's just it's a beast of an instrument. It's a lot of tuning, there's a lot of pegs there and just but yeah, that was really fun, man. I feel like my goal when they reached out to me about doing the whole Woodwright project was like, we got to do a double cut nine string like Pike played in High on Fire. It's kind of what I wanted to do from the beginning. I was like, please just let me live long enough to get this released to the public because um, I knew that people wanted it. Like I knew that I wanted one forever, and they were impossible to find. I collected all these first act DC6s, and it honestly took me. I finally did get a DC9, but it was maybe in 2022 or something. It took me 10 years of hunting before someone reached out to me because of the channel and how much it had grown, and people saw I had a big collection of those guitars, that someone reached out and said, hey, I have a nine if you want to buy it. But there's so few in existence that they're impossible to find. So we were able to bring it back from the dead, do our own version with Matt. He plays live quite often these days and doesn't use it for the full set, but uses it for whatever songs it makes sense based on what he used to write at the time. But to be fair, his original nine string has been on every High on Fire album since Death Is This Communion. It's just not he stopped taking it on tour probably in 2012 or so. But
Yeah.
that was really cool, man. That was like a dream of mine to get that out for everybody so that people could have access to that guitar or something similar.
Yeah, I was really stoked whenever you started the channel with a lot of sleep, and like you said, because like not a whole lot of people were ever doing that. I mean like one or two off like personalities that you would see
Yeah,
sifting through all the content. You find some guy who's like, he's got the chops for it and playing Dragonaut or even Jerusalem, something like that. And then when you came in with it, I mean, you were bringing all of like the heavy artillery with High on Fire and stuff like that. So that's when I started paying attention. And then you started bringing in more stuff from the Southland where I'm from, like
yeah,
all the boys that I know. Like you mentioned Jimmy, and I know you worked with Sammy as well.
yeah.
Um, so it was just it's really cool to see that someone like yourself is recognizing the guys like an Asabat who's having this meteoric rise
Yeah,
of a reunion right now. It's fucking incredible,
so
and
well deserved.
for sure. And like to see like someone like Mike Sanchez have his own woodwright guitar is
Yeah.
fucking crazy.
Yeah, and we've been working. So with Mike, we gave him that guitar right before the. I don't think he had much gear before the reunion started,
He
and
didn't. I
we
can tell you
heard
that.
that. We heard that from some people in the scene, and thought, man, we've got this really cool vagabond here. That I've told him this, but it's like the headstock we did with a 4x2 tuning peg configuration, which is
Mhm.
actually trademarked by Music Man. And we found out after we had done the prototypes, and was like, we could never sell them because the headstock tuner layout is trademarked. We ended up flipping it for production and whatever and doing it that way. But we had this really cool guitar sitting here, and I'm like, man, he needs a guitar. Mike always played a V back in the day.
Yeah.
Maybe he would want it, and maybe he'd play it. And we reached out to him, and he was so cool. I've got to know Mike a bit now, obviously, but he was like, yeah, man, send it down, and he loved it, and he's played it so much. throughout that reunion, it's been the coolest thing ever, man. Like just, I'm sure for you, I'm sure likewise, you were a longtime fan,
Oh
correct?
yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And just none of us ever who have been listening since like I started listening probably again like 2003, 2004 is probably when I discovered them. And, through all the lore and everything, nobody thought they would get back together. I don't think. I thought that was the one band that would never do it.
Yeah, same.
But
I mean,
thankfully they did.
yeah, I mean, my love for those guys go back all the way to 1993. I saw my one of my older cousins
Hell yeah.
who lived not too far from the guys in a place called Houma, Louisiana,
Mm-hmm.
and he was like, these are some dudes that live right up the street. Check them out, and it was the Kite String Pop CD, and I was like, holy shit! And they're name dropping a bunch of my family as thank a bunch of forays and whoever, and I was like, holy shit! So that's where I was like I became a fucking acid bat disciple.
That's so cool, man. That is
But
yeah, and I know you were there during you got to go to some of the rehearsals even, right? Before they actually was how was that what was that like?
that was a fucking spiritual experience,
Did
man.
you see
Like
them back in the day? Like did you see
I,
them
I
in the
saw
nights?
I saw them whenever I was 15 and I was 16. I saw them
Wow.
in I saw them at a place called Main Street in Breaux Bridge, Louisiana. And I saw them again at a place called the Plaza in Lafayette.
Mhm.
And I was not old enough to go in that place. I snuck in with some older friends of mine who was like, "Yeah, he's cool." And that's the show that Sammy might have said. He tells in interviews that it was like one of the hottest fucking shows, dude. Like everyone was pouring sweat, and everyone was about to, like on the verge of dehydration.
Yeah.
But coming back to the rehearsals, um, dude, I was the first one. I was there at the very first one,
That's
and
nuts.
yeah,
How did you get yourself in? How did you get into that? Like, how did that work?
man, sometimes it's just cool to know Sammy doing. And I love that dude, man. And he
Yeah,
said,
man.
"Hey,"
He's great.
and like they were rehearsing not too far from where I live, and he said, "Hey, we need some help moving some gear, and we could use your help." And I said, "Dude, you got it." And I thought I was just gonna move the gear, help him move the gear to the rehearsal space, and send me on my way. And I was gonna be fine with that because I mean
Sure.
I know how some members in the group are kind of like private and whatnot, and it's the first one, it's
Yeah,
like
yeah. They don't
so
even know. They don't know how they're gonna sound, right?
no, and like Sammy and Mike were like, "You stick around?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna stick around." So it was me, a photographer friend that was taking their photos for the first time, just standing there, dude. Like, and after a couple of hours of them rehearsing, Sammy was like, uh, about 80% sounding where we want to be. I was like, dude, that sounded like 110% in my opinion. Like
That's wild.
it's like, it's like, I don't know. I think it was like 20 plus years since their last show. It's like
Yeah, yeah.
they did not skip a fucking beat, Steve. Like
It's
just didn't.
crazy. I
It's
mean, because
just
they all had a couple months to rehearse it by themselves, right? And I know some of them were getting together, and obviously, Sammy and Zach were probably getting together,
yeah.
and I know Mike and I think Dax were getting together, and but yeah, that's wild, man. That's so cool that you were there. What a crazy experience. What a unique, crazy experience. That's cool, man.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like it wasn't even a bucket list item. It was just one of those
Yeah,
items that just like it just happened, and
yeah,
like
yeah.
fuck, like
You weren't even planning when you woke up that morning for
no,
that to
not at
happen,
all,
right?
not
Yeah,
at all,
that's
dude.
cool.
So
Wow,
I'm
cool.
constantly I constantly thank Sammy for that moment, man. Let me share that with him, and
Yeah, man.
but but
Just being at that first show down there, right? Like I went down to that first show, and it was just the energy in that room. I don't think I'll ever. That was probably my favorite show of all time. I would say
wow,
for me, just because I mean, going down there. meeting a bunch of guys that I'd known but never met in person, and
Hmm.
hanging out, and just the energy in that room, not knowing how they would sound. It's like before the set, people were saying, oh, they're gonna have Ben come out and sing some songs, and I just remember thinking that's not gonna happen. Like, um, sing some songs, like do some of the screaming parts and things like that.
Oh, Ben
Uh,
Falgout to do that?
yeah, yeah, that's what
Okay.
I had heard people talking about in
I
the,
heard the same
just
thing. That
people
was a
didn't know
wild
what,
rumor.
yeah, people didn't know what was going to happen, right? And they came out and killed it. And obviously that was their first show. Like, they've gotten even tremendously tighter and better sounding over the year, but year plus now, I guess,
Yeah.
that they've been doing it. But yeah, what an amazing thing! What a highlight, man! What just so we're all so fortunate to have been gotten to hear that band again and see them live, and who knows what's to come.
Yeah. It's gonna be a wild ride for sure, man.
Going in
I,
April again, I guess, to see them with Crowbar and I God, which will be cool.
that's in Georgia.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
a dream show. That's like when we were growing up, being like,
Oh
man,
yeah.
just imagine Acid Bath, Crowbar, and I Hate God. It's like when
Yeah.
I saw that announced. That's in Atlanta, so it's 4 hours from me. I'm going immediately.
Man, it's like it's so unfortunate that Chuck Schuldiner is not with us anymore because like Asabat like opened up for Death, and it's like that to me,
I
that
didn't
would have
even
been
know that.
that dude, yeah. They opened up for Death back for a line of shows. I want to say they did one in New Orleans, I think maybe
Oh yeah,
Texas, shit like that. But dude, it's like, if Chuck was still around and Death was still around, dude, like we could have all the cake
yeah,
and eat it too. It's like, what?
man. And I talk about not listening to a lot of other metal, but Death is a band that I had a pretty solid phase of listening to, and I love Chuck Schuldiner.
Man, he had
Yeah,
so much hook. He had
yeah,
so much,
he was so good,
as much
phenomenal.
as technical as he was just as he had all the hook to all these songs.
Yeah,
Is
so melodic and
yeah,
catchy, and I think that band got better as they went too, which a lot of bands don't
100%.
do, but I mean, they were just killing it right up to the end. Every album just seemed, a lot of bands seem to that tire out, or you know what I'm saying? Like,
Oh yeah.
Sound of Perseverance is fucking amazing.
It is, dude. And like, I mean,
Yeah,
for me personally, I'm a human guy. I
yeah,
love
yeah.
human all the way. It's just something about that lineup. Just, I mean, stars align and everything just made like just chaotic jazz fusion metal. It was fucking great.
Yeah, man. It's amazing.
Um,
It's amazing stuff.
in your opinion, I want to ask you this. What are the three main ingredients for like some classic doom tone?
It's hard. It's hard because there's so much. There's such a range, right? If I think classic, I start to think Pentagram and Saint Vitus, and you're just thinking more of a tighter guitar sound, more overdriven tube amps, less fuzz. Not so much of a fuzz thing. You think of Victor Griffin's Pentagram tone, especially early on. He was using a Sound City 120 with a with an MXR distortion plus, and Gibson the Paul. And over the years he started using Laney's and the Iommi signature amps. With a bit more, with overdrives, but it's just more of an overdriven high gain amp tone. In terms of that Pentagram tone, Saint Vitus, I'm thinking of JCM 900 maybe, or 800. I'm not sure there, but um, again, more of just um, overdriven amps, less fuzz. But then as you start to think of bands like Sleep or Electric Wizard, especially the hyper fuzz era, like the Dope Throne and Come My Fanatics, you start to think about the fuzzier sounds, and even Wind Hand for a modern, more modern doom band is a big muff into a mad amp. And so I tend to separate it that way, as more of your classic overdriven, loud tube amp tone versus your more modern fuzz infused, bigger, bigger low end, more down tuned, right? The earlier stuff is as well more of a E flat to E flat down to C sharp down to maybe C standard tuning, whereas more modern stuff tends to go a lot lower. You've got bands like Bong Ripper or Conan that are got their six string tuned to F, um, which gets pretty low
Yeah, that's low as
and
shit.
fuzzy. and fuzzy. I mean, they still, I think in Bong Ripper they're using rats as main, or a rat circuit as their main distortion, whereas Conan has been all over the place using muffs and fuzz faces and even HM2s and stuff. But yeah, that's how I sort of differentiated, I guess, in my for myself.
You mentioned one of the big heavy hitters as far as the pedals in the industry. What is it about the big muff that dominates the doom culture? It,
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the low end and the sustain. It's more of a scoop tone than the rat, but it's just got that big low end. Um, and that's why especially people chase the kind of the Civil War muffs and the original tall font green Russians and stuff that just have a little less gain and a little more low end, but they add just a lot of sustain. And it's almost, you can instantly hear, especially like that when I think of big muff and a mat amp, is kind of that classic like dope smoker, if dope smoker guitar tone, but like the Windhand guitar tone reminds me of that, and the Bongzilla guitar tone, just that big muff with a mat amp kind of thing. It's very distinct. It's got that big, like almost like that just like blocking distortion sort of tone. Where everything's just blown out, with the big like mids forward, big low mid forward kind of thing.
Here's your chance to market yourself a little bit. What makes your line of pedals different than the typical boutique fuzz makers?
Well, I think especially over time, we try to do things that haven't been done before. We're trying to take things a little further, and if you look at a lot of our more recent stuff, it's less typical. Some may find it overcomplicated. We started out making one knob pedals, very simple early on,
I remember
and
that.
then when Nick, when we had done like a simple fuzz face and a boost and a blendable octave, and maybe even the Sabathi, which was like a hyper fuzz on one knob, which was kind of fun. And then we brought Nick on, but Nick is so experienced and has done crazy shit for a long time. Like nothing with Nick is simple. So he started doing these wild like circuits and putting them on one knob. Um, and then we did that for a bit. We did a Walpurgis, which was like a Laney supergroup with a Dallas Rangemaster on a single knob, which is crazy. And then we did like um, what we did the Agartha, which was a Sun Model T with a rat, kind of inspired by the band Sun, and put that on one knob. But then I started feeling like, hey man, these circuits are crazy. It would be really fun to open them up and give people access to the multiple to the preamps that were there, but also the whatever other drive or fuzz pedals we were adding into the mix. And so we got the Baghdad, which is like based on Matt's old Soldano Matt amp rig, and kind of a blend of Soldano and Matt amp. It's not something you'll see typically, but again, based on Matt's rig, and and then we expanded the Walpurgis and made a fully expanded version of the Super Laney Supergroup preamp with the Dallas Rangemaster fuzz for that classic Tony Iommi tone. Like I like a lot of our stuff to have a story to it,
Yeah.
or some reason for it existing. Uh, I like that. Some people don't like that. Some people would rather see stuff that's way off the wall and maybe never been done totally before. And so while I say our stuff hasn't been done before, it's usually based on something. I like to pull from something, where like our Giza that was just released originally was a one knob based on the bass rig that Al Cisneros ran in the very early days of Ohm, which was this giant wall of green mat amps with a Boss DS1 and a DoD 250. So originally we built it all into one knob, like Nick did it on one knob, which is crazy again. Just tons is going on there to put it on one knob, but now we've opened it up, added a stomp. It's got 8 knobs. You can fully tweak all the controls, all the blends. We've got parallel blends going on. You're stacking, you're blending, just a lot of different, trying to expand on the palette, because like everybody's done just a big muff, right? There's every version of the big muff. I think didn't a Big Muff 2 just come out, like JHS and EHX put out a Big Muff 2 or something, the red pedal I saw going around. It's like we just don't have a lot of interest in releasing something that's just kind of been done over and over and over.
Right.
We want to take it and explore maybe these rigs that have been almost like these rigs of lore. It's like that's what I'm thinking of. Like the early Pycon fire rig is like a rig of lore. Like like Tony's rig and Sabbath, the early days. It's like people have chased that tone for years trying to get it. And I've collected all the original gear in a lot of the cases. Like I've got all of the gear that Matt used on those first couple records, and I've got not the actual gear, but like the
Right,
same gear.
right.
I do have. I have been fortunate now that I know a lot of these guys to like buy cool shit off of them that I probably otherwise would not have had the opportunity to buy. Like I have Matt's super group that he used on the Sciences and Electric Messiah, and I have the Phil Cope's Witchfinder General, like the Laney that he used in Witchfinder General, the Laney clip. Like I have his amp, which is fucking wild. Like
That
spray
is
painted
wild, man.
Witchfinder General on the bottom. So that we do a lot of that, and we've got some really cool collabs in the works, some really interesting ideas again that I've got a laundry list of cool shit. It's like I've got more cool shit to do than we have time to do it in. So it's like just trying to figure out what's next. We just released that Giza, huge success. People have loved it. Feedback's it actually just released, I think, last Friday.
Mhm.
So they've just been landing over the past few days. Been really fun to see people playing them and hearing what people think and seeing all the videos pop up on Instagram. Super fun, and just always love to see people enjoy what like that pedal was. It took forever like to get it right. Just a lot of tuning and a lot of fiddling to get it right. So it was I don't think it was really delayed over and over till we got it right. Probably we wanted to get it out probably October, November. Didn't come out till here in February. So or
What
very
what was
late.
what was the goal sound when tuning that circuit for you?
Yeah, so it was the Amoeba Records performance where it's Al and Chris, the early days of Ohm. He's got the big wall of greens, the 4x15
Okay,
cabs and shit, and so we were kind of chasing that rig, or at least some semblance of that rig
I got you.
in a pedal, and we added the like a silicon fuzz on a second stomp. It's just wild. The pedal's insane. Like there's just nothing like it out there. There's really not. And so we decided to do it. And yes, it's kind of crazy, and some people might think it's dumb, but a lot of people clearly like it. So it's been fun. And like I said, yeah, I got a pedal that Sammy's trying right now, seeing what he thinks about. Sammy and Mike are trying right now, see if they like it, see if we want to do something together. Um, and yeah, we've got other really cool pedals in the works as well. Something we've been playing with the Weed Eater guys. Um, and yeah, I've talked to Kirk for a long time about something we could do together with Crowbar. So yeah, just exploring. It's fun to do that now. We kind of have the established brand, and we can do something with an established band, and I think in collaboration that can work really well for everybody involved. So it's fun to be able to reach out to these guys and know more of them now and have access to chat with them and get in touch with them and figure out if there's something we can work on together. So
I tell you,
uh,
man, it's been a real joy to witness it all too. Like it just like whenever you said, if 10 years went like that, and your hair's really longer, you're looking more like a wizard these days. And just coming from the days where you had the ball cap, the trucker's
yeah,
hat,
yeah.
and all that. And it's like
That was really to just disguise that I hated having short hair.
I get it. I totally get it, man. Like, I was in the military for a long time, and I just felt like, hey, it's the clean look. It's done. So,
So you had to do it too, right? So
oh
yeah, I
yeah,
had to do it.
oh
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah, yeah.
exactly. And
Eventually, you get to the point where maybe you don't have to, which is nice.
for sure. But I say that, man, and it's like just watching, your the channel, the brand itself, just kind of grow to where it is. It's really inspiring to me. I
Thank you,
really.
man.
Absolutely, dude. And like just seeing you, I was in Norway the whole time. I think Naum was going on, and just and watching you through social media, just rub elbows with the people that that also inspired you and doing the same
Yeah, it was
things
cool.
that you're accomplishing. That's fucking awesome, dude. And I know. I appreciate what the success that you're receiving this time.
Thanks, man. I mean, that means a lot. Nam was crazy. It was a crazy experience. I can say that. I had never been. So to go as an exhibitor for my first time, hand carrying all that shit there was crazy, but it was awesome. And yeah, super cool to get to meet a bunch of people that I, again, had met online a little bit. Like I don't know Ola super well, but we've chatted online. But to get to meet him in person and a ton of other people, just got to meet so many guys with brands that I've known a bit and just never got to talk to in real life. Like that was really fun to just meet people in real life that you've only talked to online. It's really fun.
So I see you got some gear behind you. What is currently
I
your
do.
main rig rundown?
God, I don't even know. I guess right now I have I have the rig set up from when I did the Giza demo. So it's like a Sun Model T and a Mad Amp GT 120. And I think I've got my amps on a head switcher so I can switch between the heads through the same cab. And I do that a lot for just when I'm recording stuff. I like to kind of assemble a rig that will be like, okay, maybe this will get me in the ballpark. And then I'll play with the two amps and decide what combination of amps and pedals sound the best. And for the Giza demo, I ended up using the Model T for the bass because I actually don't have very many bass amps, but the Model T kind of does it, kind of does
Mhm.
a decent job of it. The 120 does okay, but I think a little bit of extra power on the Model T helps it out. So I ended up using that. But I don't have I don't really have my rig will kind of sit and stay together for a while, and then I'll decide I'm going to focus on something else, and I'll just change it all around because I've got a bunch of amps and such that I've collected over the years here doing the channel for various reasons. I just I want to be able to chase the tone of a certain band in a certain situation, a certain record or whatever. And I've tried to slow down on accumulating gear because I have too much. Um, and I will say I've done a decent job of that. Like I try not to go crazy. I have everything I need, and way
Definitely.
more than I need. So I try to just stick. But there's still shit I want to do. Like I got that Witchfinder General amp, and I've never really done content with it yet. But I want to dedicate like a block of time to just covering a bunch of Witchfinder General stuff and learning a bunch of songs. Like I did that with Sabbath last year just for fun. And probably around the time our Walpurgis came out, I just started doing it. And it was like, oh, I'm just going to learn a billion fucking Sabbath songs again and try and learn them better this time. Uh, and because it seems like you can learn more every time you revisit them. So, yeah, there's just lots of stuff I want to do and just find the time because again, I still love making the content, but I don't get as much time to do it these days because we're trying to run all these businesses and get product shipped and get product in and do, new designs and testing. And there's just a lot going on all the time.
Definitely. And what I probably know the answer to this, but what is the tuning that you currently live in?
I use C and B the most, I would
Okay.
say. I have guitars set up on all different tunings, but I would say I use C. C, if I had to say like what I use most,
Mhm.
probably it just feels like the home base for kind of stoner doom tuning. Um, Again, like more modern stuff is lower, and some of the older stuff is higher. It's sort of right in the middle there. What about you?
Man, C standard mostly, and then like I play a lot of black metal shit, so I'll just do like E standard with that.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
But then like one of my good friends had introduced me to drop tunings. So
Yep.
he's got me in some A sharp, yeah, drop A sharp, and it's taking a little bit of a learning curve for me. I don't know. I still want to make traditional chords here and there in that tuning, but I feel like you can't. It is sounds like rubbish.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I've been experimenting with that here and there, but mostly C standard. And
Yeah. And that's because drop A sharp is the drop of C, right? You drop
yeah,
the sixth string, you get to
yep,
drop A sharp. Yeah.
yep.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. It leads to different, if you tend to play one way and you throw your guitar in the drop tuning, you tend to pick up different intervals and play a bit differently. I
Hmm.
feel like, anyways, it's kind of fun sometimes to
It
create new
definitely
riffs
is.
that way.
Hmm. And I'll put you on a spot here. If a
Hmm.
kid has a modest budget, what is the ideal Doom amp that you're gonna pick for him?
Yeah, a lot. I mean, the Orange Super Crush is a great amp, that you can get into with a cab for a fairly decent price.
Hmm.
The Electro Harmonix MiG 50 reissue to get like a tube amp because the Super Crush is a solid state amp. But if you want a tube amp, the EHX uh, MiG 50 I think is a pretty good buy, man. You can get them for about $600. They're going to be brand new, so you're not going to have to buy something used. If you're buying a used amp, like I always just feel like if I'm buying a used amp, I have to be prepared that when it shows up, it's going to be fucked up. because
Definitely.
it just happens all the time.
All the time.
Um, anytime I buy fucking you, especially if you buy them online, man, just like shipping amps. If you're buying it in person and you get to try it, maybe, but even then, you might even go try to not find the gremlin that whoever sold it to you was hiding. But if you buy a brand new amp from EHX, it's going to work and it's going to be good for a while. Probably circuit boards, so less easy to service though, compared to an older amp. But that I would probably go with something like a MiG 50 if I was just having maybe $1,000 budget. I would probably buy it used, because again, it's a more recent amp. So I'm thinking about that, like as opposed to buying an amp from the 80s or the 90s, where you're going to need a cap job. You never know. You don't know the tube history, how old the tubes are. You might have to replace those. Whereas if something's relatively new, I think you'd be all right. So that's
Right on.
usually what I think. I try to think of other stuff. I mean, there's definitely other stuff you can buy. Laney AORs can still be had for a good price. Some of the Laney VH or what is it? GH 100L and GH 100, like those are kind of similar to the 90s Iomi amps and can be had for 600, 700, $800.
Nice.
Still good deals. So you can definitely find a tube amp. I still think tube amps sound better than solid state amps. I think they respond better, they feel better, sound better, but they're more expensive to care for. You're going to have more maintenance, more issues for sure over time, just blowing tubes and having to go get new tubes and get them biased. So there's just a lot more cost associated with them.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
And
but
my the question I've been wanting to ask you, because this is something that I've been pondering for the past 3 weeks. In your opinion, there's no wrong, right answer.
sure.
What is the difference between doom and sludge?
A lot of times for me, it feels like more of the vocal is what ends up getting binned in the sludge category a lot
Okay.
of times. I think Doom has a probably higher tendency to include leads,
Hmm.
whereas sludge often is more of a blend of almost Doom and punk and hardcore. When I think sludge, I guess I'm thinking I Hate God, or I'm thinking Weed Eater or Acid Bath. It's just weird, right? Because like Kirk and Crowbar, he doesn't have the traditional screaming sludge vocal, right? But
No.
he's and obviously Dax as well kind of goes back and forth. But that is, and I think somewhat like the New Orleans guys all get grouped as sludge because of where they're from, in a
Right.
way.
Yeah.
Not That's not to say, I mean, Acid Bath is definitely sludgy though. It's like the
I
riffs are
like
sludgy,
I like what I'm sorry to cut you off. I
No,
like
it's good.
what Mike told me. Mike told me that he considers Asabat psychedelic death rock.
Yeah. That makes more. It's kind of makes more sense in a way, because it's not the same as I Hate God, and there's a lot of just melodic non-screaming songs, right? Like if you look at their live set list, they focused a lot on the more melodic stuff
Yeah.
in terms of the vocal. But I think in a way like Crowbar and Acid Bath are somewhat exceptions, because I think in general when I think of sludge, I do think of the more harsh vocal and but slower, sludgy,
Mhm.
kind of bluesy riffs. But it depends on the band. But that's what I think. I look at like, okay, well, I Hate God, Weed Eater, Bongzilla, they all kind of have a similar vibe to them, and those are all definite sludge bands, right? They're like
Absolutely, man. Yeah,
definitely
I like
sludge
that.
bands.
That's a great answer. And before I let you go, I ask everyone this. You got 6 albums, man. Any genre, doesn't matter what it is. What are you taking with you? You know, you know,
Man,
God forbid that the house is on fire. You got to grab 6 albums, CDs, whatever the case. Would you what you taking with you?
I'm gonna take Sabbath Volume 4. I'm gonna
My
take
man.
I'm gonna take High on Fire, The Art of Self Defense. This is a fun question. I'm gonna take I Hate God, Take as Needed for Pain. I'm gonna take so what did I say?
That's 3. You got
I'm gonna
volume
take
4.
I'm gonna take probably fuck man, Pentagram, Relentless,
Hell yeah.
Acid Bath When the Kite String Pops,
It's 5.
and fucking Thin Lizzy Live and Dangerous.
Fucking A, man. Hey, that's a fucking That's a legendary six right there,
I
man.
mean, I'm sure I missed a bunch of great shit, but
Nah,
you
it's
know,
all
I
good,
got
dude.
some of
I
my
mean, to
favorites.
putting you on the spot like that, you fucking came through. I love it.
Thanks, man.
And
That
you,
is a fun question. I
and you
love
came
that.
up you came up with some fucking bangers, dude.
Thanks, man.
Dude,
Thanks for having me, dude.
man, hey, Steve Reis does it doom. Check out his channel. Check out his brands. Uh, Woodwright guitars and the pedals. I mean, it's get yourself one.
Thanks, man.
So thanks for coming on board, man. I really appreciate your
Thanks for having
time.
me, Mo. I appreciate it, dude.
You got it, brother.
Have a good one.
You too.